And now it's time for another special feature.
Hello, you are listening to a classic episode of This Week in Geek with either TWIG 1.0 or 2.0 or whatever we called the cruise before I joined on. That's right, this is a classic episode that we're presenting mostly in its entirety. Generally, these are either going to be one of the topic shows, either that or a guest interview, something to that extent. And we wanted to preserve everything as best as we can, but I did want to have a preface at the beginning that some of the closing lines or some of the advertisements and sponsors that we had are obviously no longer valid. We're not going to go in and heavily edit anything when it comes to the closing and that. For instance, we do not have a call-in number anymore. If you want to get in contact with us at the very end, we'll obviously have our normal closing that we have, which explains the email addresses. But if you are concerned or have any other questions, or if there's another episode that you'd like to suggest that maybe we can go rifling through in the archive for, contact me at alex@thisweekingeek.net, or the main email, which is feedback@thisweekingeek.net. So without further ado, let's get into one of these classic episodes.
Freddy Krueger here, and you're listening to Mike the Birdman Dodd and the rest of the crew this week in Geek.net.
Did you grow up with a NES, PlayStation, Star Wars, cartoons, and 80s TV? Do you like to think who would win in a fight between Batman and the Master Chief? Comics, games, movies, music, and TV. They're gonna tell you everything you need. Superheroes or not, they got your back. They're gonna save the world of geeks. Comics, games, movies, music, and TV. They're gonna tell you everything you need. Superheroes or not, they got your back. They're gonna save the world of geeks. This Week in Geek. This Week in Geek.
Hey guys, what's going on? You are listening to ThisWeekInGeek.net, and I'm your host, Mike the Birdman Dodd. But I'm not alone as I track to LV426, but we may make a stop off at LV226. That's right, guys. This is the topic show for the month of October, and as you guys know, we are joined by Cinemassacre's very own, a guy who may be a bit of a nerd.
Hey, it's James Rolfe.
And, of course, it would not be This Week in Geek without my faithful synthetic android buddy,
Scott 8.
Woo! Yes, guys, we are talking about the Aliens franchise, and I am so unbelievably excited for this show. As you guys know, a couple weeks ago, Alien Isolation got released for the PC and pretty much every console you can imagine out there, except for the Wii U. Poor them. And we're going to be talking about the franchise, talking about the comic books, the movies, the video games, some of the merchandise. And I bet you didn't know there was a cartoon series. But we're going to be talking about that a little later in the show. But as always, we do housekeeping announcements. And I want to send a huge shout out to something we're actually going to be taking care of next week. And that is talking about the Ghostbusters screening for Toronto Sick Kids. Now, if you live in the Southern Ontario region, you guys should probably be checking this out. This is going to be happening at the Colossus Cinemas in Vaughan, out on Highway 7. And there are two shows on October 30th. I should be there for at least one of them. On October 30th at 7 and 7:30 p.m., you can go see the original Ghostbusters on the big screen. And you can do that for about $13, which is pretty cool. And 100% of all the proceeds go to Toronto Sick Kids. In addition to that, if you want to find out more information, you can go to thebigevent.ca and get a little bit more information. Now, more reason to come out there other than supporting this wonderful charity organization is that members of the Ontario Ghostbusters will be there, and as well as their very own Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. So if you want to get some really cool Halloween-y type pictures, and hey, who doesn't want to get a picture with a unlicensed nuclear accelerator? I don't know who doesn't. So you can check out more information about that by going to thebigevent.ca. That's next Thursday, October 30th at 7 and 7:30. Costs $13. Please go check it out. So let's kind of go around the room, see what everybody's been doing over the last little while. James, you recently had the Nerd movie come out.
Yeah, finished the movie in the summer. All summer we were booking theaters and flying all over the country and showing it in places. Even showed it in Toronto. And now then we work on the digital release. That's out. And now we're working on the DVD and the Blu-ray. About 12 hours of content on it. And damn, so it's almost done.
Wow, 12 hours of content, man! I'm really looking forward to when my review copy shows up. Actually,
yeah, and that doesn't even count. Actually, by the way, you did receive your copy, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's right. You told me, yeah. Yeah, the 12 hours that counts the movie, but it doesn't count the audio tracks. We have a audience reaction track and a commentary, 5.1 surround sound. Stuff like that.
Fantastic stuff. Now, did you do a behind-the-scenes making documentary as well?
Oh yeah, it's like it was going to be one long documentary, but it just kept getting longer and longer and longer. So instead, it's kind of like split up. It's more like individual bonus features now, where you could just click about and like there'd be one that's all about the special effects, and then there's one that's about the cast, stuff like that.
Fantastic stuff. So when is the physical release for the Blu-ray and DVD?
Right now, it's just when it gets done. We think early November, but we don't want to say yet. We're not sure. So hopefully early November.
Well, folks, you heard it here first. Yeah. Scotty, what about you, man? We haven't had you on the show in like a couple of months. Actually, you've been like super busy.
I have been, and I was AWOL without internet for like 4 months. That was really good. I became an outdoor wilderness man. Like, I started hunting deer with my bare hands. And
in Oakville.
There's so many deer. I actually go for midnight walks, and there's deer just like walking around. I'm like, hi there, Mr. Deer Friend. And then we just talk about the weather and stuff. But then I was at like GenreCon in Guelph this past weekend, selling my little bead sprites, meeting people, getting into shenanigans. What I do when I'm not talking to forest animals.
You're such a strange little man.
I try my hardest,
You very much do. So anyway, guys, as for myself, as you guys know, I'm still doing the Nerd News Network. This past weekend, on Friday to Sunday, I'm actually still kind of exhausted. I did the Extra Life for Toronto sick kids, which was pretty awesome. Now, you can still donate if you go to birdmangivesback.com. I played video games from Friday night right through until Sunday at noon, and then had a chance to go watch the WWE's Hell in a Cell thing. So I'm pretty excited, pumped, dead. From all that, but I did reach my goal of $500, so that's a big accomplishment. So definitely a lot of fun there. Trying to think of what else I've been doing. As you guys know, I've been selling off a lot of my cool stuff. So watch my Twitter and Facebook. You want to buy some of Birdman's collectibles because bills suck. You can find out more information by going to my Twitter and Facebook, which is @BirdmanDodd. You can find me on most social media channels that way. But anyway, guys, we have yapped long enough, so it is time to put ourselves into the hypersleep chambers as we begin our long journey to Zeta Reticuli 2, and it's time for Just the Facts. In space, no one can hear you scream. And in 1974, writer Dan O'Bannon began work on the film that would eventually become Alien, alongside screenwriter Ronald Shusett. The film was originally titled Starbeast, but was later changed when the pair noticed how often the word alien occurred in the script. The story of Alien follows the crew of the commercial ship Nostromo as it is sent to investigate an alien beacon signal on the moon of LV-426. Our main hero, Warrant Officer Ellen Ripley, is the only survivor of the creature discovered on the moon. Her crew is picked off one by one by the alien creature till only she remains and is forced to self-destruct the ship in hopes of killing it. Eventually, Ripley is able to overcome the alien by blowing it out of an airlock and into the escape shuttle's thrusters as she enters hyperspace for a long 57 years till the sequel. The first Alien movie would be directed by legendary director Ridley Scott and give the film a blend of terror and tension not often seen in a movie set in space. Scott wanted the film to be the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in space and be something more sci-fi as opposed to fantasy. Scott would be introduced to artist H.R. Geiger, and his intense blend of biomechanical and slightly sexual art style would inspire the design for the xenomorph creature and would become a part of sci-fi history.
Its structural perfection is matched only by its hostility.
A sequel would be followed up in 1986, and this time it would be helmed by Terminator director James Cameron, and this time it's war. Aliens picks up the story 57 years later, and Ellen Ripley has been found by a deep space salvage team and is returned to Earth to tell her story of how a lone creature destroyed her crew. A corporate opportunist takes a chance to look deeper into Ripley's story, and so begins the destruction of LV-426 Lone Colony by the alien creature now nicknamed the Xenomorph. Earth sends a unit of colonial space marines with superior firepower, and unfortunately they are overwhelmed till only Ripley, a little girl named Newt, an android, and a single marine are left to escape the infested colony. Aliens would be described as Vietnam in space, which it would place a technologically superior force against an entrenched guerrilla-style enemy, and how overconfidence can lose wars.
I am the ultimate badass. Yeah. State of the badass art. You do not want to fuck with me.
The movie was nominated for 7 Academy Awards, including a Best Actress nomination for Sigourney Weaver, winning both sound effects editing and visual effects. It won 8 Saturn Awards, including Best Science Fiction Film, Best Actress for Weaver, Best Direction, and Best Screenwriting for Cameron. Like any good monster, it's hard to keep down a good bad guy, and the Alien Queen left behind a surprise on the Sulaco, the Marine ship, as it headed back to Earth. Alien 3 would pick up almost 2 weeks afterwards and basically wipe the slate clean. Hicks is dead, Newt is dead, and even Bishop is basically turned into a busted toaster. Ripley finds herself stranded on a prison planet surrounded by lunatics and a single xenomorph harassing the population, until the Alien Queen embryo eventually erupts from Ripley's chest. The story ends as Ripley kills the alien using thermal shock and shattering the alien to thousands of pieces, and destroying the Alien Queen by sacrificing herself by throwing herself into a huge blast furnace and denying the Weyland-Yutani Corporation the bioweapon it is so craved. The last few films that compose the Aliens franchise are a mix between misguided and stupid at best. A script even written by Buffy the Vampire Slayer creator Joss Whedon couldn't save the 4th film. Alien Resurrection was a complete mess. Clones, a human-alien hybrid, and basketball and Winona Ryder. Need we say more about the 4th?
It stinks. It stinks. It stinks. Yes, Mr. Sherman, everything stinks.
Finally, we would get the team-up of movie monsters with Aliens vs. Predator in 2004, and a sequel would follow up in 2007. And both films would share some elements from the Dark Horse comics, but ultimately they would be fan-servicey, but not quite attaining the level of hype that fans had wanted from both films. Aliens has been comics, toys, video games, and even the stuff of nightmares. And this topic show for the month of October, This Week in Geek and Cinemassacre, pays tribute to the Xenomorph. And remember, in space, no one can hear you scream.
This is Ripley, last survivor of the Nostromo, signing off.
Oh, that was a great hypersleep. Thanks, Mother, for that informative segment there. Really appreciated that. See what I did there? I did sleep, and I woke out of hypersleep, and then I thanked the computer. I'm too witty.
I'm waiting for the alien to burst out of your chest.
So, yes, guys, like I said, we are back here on ThisWeekInGeek.net talking about the Aliens franchise. And as we often do, we typically start off each topic show discussion with our experiences with the franchise. This movie, as I mentioned during Just the Facts, has been around since 1979, I think. And that was 2 years before I was born. I first saw the Aliens movies in, I think it was the fall or the very, very late spring of 1987. My mom actually rented the movie Aliens. And I guess I would have been about 6, maybe 7, I think. I don't know. I suck with math. Don't laugh. So I remember watching this, and the scene that sticks out most in my mind is when they're going into the atmosphere processor in Aliens, and they're having the big battle down there. And the scene that sticks out, the 3 seconds that sticks out the most to me is when Ripley is driving the APC, the alien punches through the glass, tries to rip her face off. She hits the brakes, crushes this thing, and then this green goo spurts out of it. And just the sound of the alien being crushed under the tire is a sound effect that I very much associate with my childhood. And then other experiences with the franchise. I remember getting a lot of the toys for Christmas, and I think it would have been 91, 92. I had the Flying Alien Queen, I had the Stinger vehicle thing. I remember my favorite toy I got from that Christmas was probably the Power Loader and Ripley. Although I'll talk a little bit more about why the toys didn't look anything like anybody from the movies except maybe Ripley, and that's only the fact that she was a woman. But yeah, those are probably my beginning experiences with the franchise, because I didn't get into the comics and everything else till much, much later. And I didn't see the first Alien movie until I was in high school, actually. I saw Alien 3 before I saw Alien 1. So I guess let's start with James. What are your first experiences with this franchise?
It was so long ago, it's hard to remember, but my dad used to watch them, and at this point there was only 2 movies. And I remember watching the second one more with my dad, and it was just like another movie. Like, I didn't think of it as anything. I mean, I thought it was awesome, but I didn't realize how special they were till later when I was probably in high school. I used to take film classes on Saturdays and summers, and like just these extracurricular college courses, actually. But you know, I was in high school, but they were at a college, and they were at Saturday and summers. But one time I remember I did a paper on the first Alien movie, and I did this long paper. It was actually twice as long as what was required, and that was when I started really digging deep into the movies and really appreciating them for what they were. My memories of the third movie is very clear, because I remember when that came out in theaters, I wanted to see it really badly, but I eventually saw it on video when it came out, and I remember being really disturbed by it and not really liking it either, and still, unfortunately, we'll get to that movie later, but I've always hoped it would grow on me, but it never did.
That's one of the things about these kind of movies. We'll definitely get into that discussion later. Sometimes they grow on you, sometimes they don't. Other times you walk out of the theater disgusted. Alien vs. Predator Requiem. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Scotty, what about you? What about your experiences?
My first experience with the franchise was actually probably because, like, I was born in 92. So a lot of cartoons and stuff that I was growing up had all those references to other movies. Like, you have, like, Animaniacs and that, like, all those different cartoons of the era. So many of those films had references to Aliens. Same with, like, Spaceballs. I watched that quite a few times as a kid. So that was my first actual experience where it was nothing actually canonical or any of the actual films. The first actual Aliens film I actually watched was AVP. I'd not seen any of the Alien films, nor Predator films, before I saw that film. That was my very first experience of seeing AVP in, like, 2005. And I didn't actually get to watch the first Alien till, like, I think 2011.
Oh, wow.
I think I didn't watch it till then. Because I was like, everyone's like, it's super, like, scary and horror-based. And I wasn't really, like, big on, like, jump scares. And then I watched it, I'm like, this is not really, I guess, like, as terrifying as everyone told me. But, like, I really love the film in general for the atmosphere created and everything like that. So then recently I just watched the 3 and Resurrection because I got them on the Blu-ray set, and I was like, I guess I'll watch them now. I have got to put those in. Resurrection I wish I didn't put into my Blu-ray player, though.
So out of those ones that, like, basically, what's it like kind of seeing all those basically, like, kind of rapid fire in a row for you?
I found it more enjoyable actually to watch it all like that, because you don't lose anything. The story keeps going on, and you're like, okay, I remember this and this. You don't have to worry about, like, there's 5 years here, there's 10 years there kind of thing from when they're being released originally. Watching them rapid fire, they're a lot more enjoyable, especially 2 to 3. 2 and 3 are a lot more enjoyable watching them side by side.
Which, one thing that I found out, turns out the actual time difference between 2 and 3 in the movie universe is only like 11 days. So Ripley's life goes to shit in just a little under 3 weeks.
That's not fair.
I know, right? I mean, like, because she wakes up on the Nostromo, fights that, loses all her friends in the course of like 24 to 48 hours.
And then loses all her family in 60 years of being asleep.
Yeah.
Or like 57 years. And then she makes new connections and they all die.
then they get wiped out. Yeah, I mean, basically, now, I think on Earth, when she gets back there from like Gateway Station, I think she's supposedly on Earth for maybe like a month or two, allegedly. And then when Burke and Gorman say, hey, guess what? You're coming with us. I think it's like a 4-month trip out to LV-426. It's something like that. Because one of the things about the Aliens franchise, they never explain how space travel works. We know it's faster than light, but they use hypersleep to shorten travel times, but they never really explain it. Actually, I'm actually looking at the Aliens technical manual. Even in there, they pretty much dodge this question the entire time. They kind of write around it. So yeah, Ripley's been awake for, like I said, just a little under 3 weeks before everything goes to hell. And the only person she ever hooks up with is a drug addict in number 3. And I don't know, I thought she was pretty sweet on Hicks, but I guess he's, well, you know, that's fucked up to say, because Hicks is technically alive in the canon now. If we include Aliens Colonial Marines. God, I hate that game. But we'll talk about that later. In fact, actually, you know, I'm just going to spoil this part right now. Aliens Colonial Marines is the only video game where I threw my PlayStation 3 controller down and actually screamed betrayal so much so I woke up my next door neighbors when I beat the game at like 9 in the morning on like a Sunday. Fuck that game. Anyway, moving on to our next topic of discussion. One of the things I love about the Aliens franchise is obviously the xenomorph, or the creature, the serpent, the dragon, if you will. And I'd like to look at the creature as kind of as a movie monster. I mean, before this, James, because you know a lot of older sci-fi, like stuff from the 50s and 60s and 70s for horror. Mm-hmm. I can't think of anything super iconic to come out of there as just a monster other than the Universal stuff, and those things had personalities. There never was just a mindless monster to my recollection.
You're asking like what gets closest to Alien?
Yeah.
Like the xenomorph?
Yeah.
Like as far as a creature, I mean, like there's the creature from the Black Lagoon, but that's underwater. Like, have you seen It, the Terror from Beyond Space?
Is that the giant floating brain thing?
No, that's actually basically the original Alien movie. That Alien, basically, it's the same plot. Like, they go to space, they pick up an alien that, you know, one by one kills all the crew members. It's not as good as Alien. Alien took the idea and made it better. The monster in that movie is not as interesting as the xenomorph. It's pretty basic. It's just a, you know, sort of just like a humanoid type of, you know, thing with claws, and it just, you know, kills people. But it has all the same things where they're like in the, you know, they're like inside like the ventilation shaft and everything, and it's basically, that's what Alien remade. Mm-hmm. But no, there's nothing like the xenomorphs. It's really like it's such a unique thing, and the whole like ecosystem of the creature, of like how the facehugger lays the eggs and impregnates people. It's basically the rapist of the universe.
And that's one thing that's definitely been talked about, because when like H.R. Geiger designed the creature, they wanted something that would look dangerous and yet could fuck you at the same time with its biomechanical design. And that's the thing. I mean, this creature is obviously, it looks very sexualized, and even the alien eggs look like giant vaginas. And they actually had to change the egg design during pre-production, because they're like, we can't show that.
So originally it was just vaginas, basically?
They were just vagina space eggs.
Vaginas shooting out hand penises?
Yeah, well, I guess when this thing forces it down your throat, just Actually, there was a great quote I saw today from, I think it was 10 for the Win, and they were like, I'm I'm all for all forms of fucking except skull fucking. I draw the line there. And that's what I think about the facehugger when it shoves its egg penis down your throat. And that's something else that I'd love to actually talk about is, James, you mentioned about the alien's life cycle. And this creature, I've always associated it with more like an insect, a bug, a parasite, and that's what they do call it eventually in the franchise. They call it like a bug and a parasite. And the thing is, with this monster, it never seemed super fantastic, like it was grown in a lab, although we'll talk about Prometheus later, and how it never seemed man-made, so to speak. It was a very organic threat. Nothing really like it had come before it, except for the movie you mentioned, really. But it took this, basically, what would be considered more or less a nuisance alien creature and made it a credible threat. And the fact that in the first movie, one of these things, a drone, and to talk about the alien life cycle, there are different stages of the alien. In the first Alien movie, we see the drone, which is the basic worker caste of the alien ecosystem. Basically, they would be the ones who'd gather up supplies, do the cocooning of people, stuff, basically maintain the front line. In Aliens, we see the warrior drone, because if you look at the differences physically between Alien and Aliens, they have head ridges. They don't have the smooth carapace of the first Alien. It doesn't look as human, quote unquote, because these aliens have been alive longer. And then there's even a caste beyond that. I think it's called Praetorian, which is halfway between a warrior and a queen. And it's never made super clear how queens evolve. There's a thing called a super face hugger, which we technically see in Alien 3, which is what impregnates Ripley and the dog, although I think that's a pair of face huggers. And then there's other ones from the Aliens video games, and they're canon. So there's aliens that explode when you get too close to them. There's aliens that can spit acid, though. The dog alien, or the ox alien, depending on how you want to look at it, could spit acid from Alien 3.
Yeah, the assembly cut or the theatrical one.
Yeah. To think of what other aliens there are, at least in terms of the life cycle. Those are the ones that I can think of. Obviously, there's the chest burster in there. Although one thing I didn't notice really until last night is if you look at the Alien from 1 to 2 and then to 3, the Alien 3 chest burster is friggin' huge. And it more or less comes out fully formed, except it's really, really tiny until it eventually grows into the 8-foot monster. Because the alien in Aliens 1 and 2 didn't have legs. In number 3 it did, and I didn't really kind of pick up on that until I was watching it last night for the show. So anyway, so to talk more about the monster, the fact that this thing seems, I wouldn't say like a creature we'd actually find, but it has defense mechanisms that, are built in. It has acid for blood, and it's pressurized. So if you try and kill this thing, odds are you're dead, because its natural defense mechanism would kill you, which means what can hunt this? Nothing can probably eat this, because with the acid content of its blood, it's not digestible. It's a silicon-based life form, which means it can survive in harsher environments than anything carbon-based, like us, for example. Its body temperature matches the ambient room. So, for example, the predators can't see these things without specialized kind of vision filters. And in Aliens, they say, go to infrared. That's why they can't see them, because they're matching the ambient temperature of the atmosphere processor. Trying to think of what else. The fact that it does have these different castes, like the warriors are there to protect the queen, but they go out and grab more victims to propagate the hive. I mean, Ash, the android from the first movie, says its structural perfection is matched only by its hostility. In the first movie, the drone has no direction from a queen, so that's why it's just randomly killing people. Whereas in Aliens, it's actively going after people, not necessarily to kill them, but to cocoon them, because in Aliens, Corporal Dietrich, the medic, Sergeant Apone, and Hudson, and probably a few others, are taken to be cocooned during the movie.
Well, which is why you see in Aliens, when Ripley is down there, when she first sees the Queen, and kind of threatens her with the flamethrower, the the aliens are going to come towards her, but the queen's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, with the direction, she's let her out of here. Like, she'll cause more damage.
Exactly. So we actually see a kind of maternal instinct in a sense. So they're actually animals. And this is, I guess there's like a filmmaking, I don't know if it's a trope, I guess it's a style where they have that man versus nature. And that's what this is. Basically, we're fighting animals, not monsters per se. And that's something I've really liked about the Alien franchise, is that we're not fighting robots, we're not fighting zombies, we're not fighting anything that has any more self-preservation than survive, expand the hive.
Well, I have a quick question when it comes to the aliens. My knowledge is not as vast, but I was always told that the xenomorphs will take the characteristics of whatever creatures the facehuggers have impregnated, like you see with the bull, the dog or the bull alien, whatever you call it, and I guess the pred alien too.
Yeah, the alien.
Yeah, they didn't do that until 3, but I haven't read any of the comics or books or anything like that, so I'm not sure if that was that originated anywhere else other than 3.
Well, canonically, as far as I understand, this information comes from memory and the AVP wiki. When the facehugger impregnates you and the egg grows inside you, it does take strands of your DNA, and it will take on characteristics of the person. For example, let's go back to the whole to the chest burster example. The chest bursters from humans don't have legs, yet they grow to be bipedal. The alien that came out of the dog or the ox is quadruped. So yeah, they do take on certain characteristics. Now, it could also be argued that because the aliens that come from humans are smarter than the one that came out of, say, the dogs, it has more of a predatory instinct as opposed to a more intelligent thinking. Because in Alien 1, 2, in Alien 1, 2, and 4, the aliens can problem solve. For example, Hudson says, they cut the power. What do you mean they cut the power? They're animals. And in Alien 4, in Resurrection, the aliens gut one of their own, realizing the acid blood will melt through the plate so they can get through the deck underneath. So they do take on certain characteristics, and intelligence and strength are definitely ones that they pick up. They don't seem to pick up any biological weaknesses, though, which is something that I noticed, especially with the kind of pred alien, because it's retarded strong and also super intelligent as well. Not to the point where it's going to speak, but you could argue that with Alien Resurrection, because it sounds at one point like the alien says mama.
Yeah.
But that made us be a choice on the part of the director and the sound designer.
So does that mean that the alien queen, because when all of a sudden, when Ripley's down there, it's like, you gave her a human reproductive system. So I'm guessing, this alien, doesn't get her period? She doesn't get any of the weaknesses?
Yeah, because...
That would suck. She'd have, an acid menstrual system.
Well, yeah, but that might be very toxic to the fetus as well. And actually, you bring up a really good point there, kind of in a roundabout way. When they started messing with the alien DNA to give her a reproductive cycle, those scientists had figured out the alien DNA at that point, after cloning Ripley 15 or 16 times. But they figured it out, which means technically they had their actual bioweapon ready to deploy. Which is terrifying, because that's the entire reason why Weyland-Yutani, the corporation, wants these things as a bioweapon. Which I've never understood why you'd want a bioweapon that could potentially kill you at the same time.
Yeah, I know. It's my favorite in the 4th one. It's we can tame it. No, you can't. We tamed you.
I mean, it's kind of like the infinite wisdom of the Umbrella Corporation and the, T-virus. Let's just deploy this and the enemy will kill themselves. Yeah, but if the enemy keeps multiplying and can't tell between good guy and bad guy, you're still fucked either way.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what else can I mention about the monster as a whole. Okay, I can't think of anything that's more iconic in recent memory, definitely within the last 30 years. When I think of a space monster, the alien immediately comes to mind.
Well, it even has that iconic, in space, no one can hear you scream.
Mm-hmm. And it has the whole double jaws thing, which looks incredibly scary. The metal-looking teeth. One of the things that's always really kind of stood out to me about the alien's design as a monster is how it has a very distinct shape. Like, when you see a silhouette or a shadow of this thing, you know exactly what it is.
You can even recognize its skull in Predator 2.
Yeah, which was meant to be an Easter egg, and the fact that it's now considered canon, that's incredible.
Yeah.
One of the other things about it too is the alien hiss is another thing too. I mean, you hear that, just that hiss, you know that's an alien. I think that's one of the that's one of the more recognizable sound effects from sci-fi. In my opinion, that's right up there with the lightsaber, the TIE fighter, and the Star Trek phaser. I know what that sound is. And in fact, you'd be surprised how many movies recycle sounds from Alien and Aliens. It's actually a little fucked up.
Predator 2 has such a distinct sound, you know.
With the whole kind of hiss click thing, which my wife can do, which is really weird. It's really fucked up because she'll sit there in the dark, and if I don't know she's there, she'll make the Predator clicking sound. And just for half a heartbeat. What the fuck? But yeah, so I guess that's kind of the legacy of the monster, is that it's scary as shit, and I can think of it spoofed a number of different times, like in Spaceballs. You see it there.
I think that's the most famous spoof, is the Spaceballs one.
I remember it being spoofed on Animaniacs.
Yeah.
I remember they're sitting in a waiting room with Darth Vader, an alien, and I can't remember who else. I think like Gort from The Day the Earth Stood Still or something. They're all hanging out in this waiting room, and then Yakko, Wacko, and Dot come in. Anyway, so transitioning. The next thing that I want to talk about is obviously the big meat of this, and that's the movies.
There are movies?
Yes. In fact, 4 ones that are good. Well, debatable.
I'd say 2, but
yeah. You know what? Alien versus Predator is a guilty pleasure.
I like AVP, but I do like the third one. That might just be because I watched the second one and the third one, basically, side by side. One
of the things that I noticed, and I want to bring this up while I remember, in the beginning of Aliens, where they get her out of the shuttle, and they're cutting it open. At the end of Alien, when she shoots the alien in the gut with the harpoon gun, I didn't notice this until the Blu-ray. The harpoon gun is still stuck in the door when they cut it open. And I know that that's such a small bit of continuity, but it made me appreciate the movie about 10 times more. Because the fact that they would remember a little thing like that. But anyway, so the movies that are in the franchise are Alien, Aliens, Alien 3, Alien Resurrection, AVP, Alien vs. Predator Requiem, and technically Prometheus, though they argue it's in the same universe, but it's a spin-off. It started out as a prequel.
Well, that's because Ridley Scott had, like, diarrhea of the mouth. I had no idea. He kept changing this, like, 10 times. Like, there was a while where this was, like, the Tyrell Corporation from Blade Runner was associated with this, and then he's like, it's an Aliens prequel. It's not an Aliens prequel. No, it's something to do with aliens. Maybe there'll be aliens. Blade Runner. Aliens, Gladiator. I'm like, Gladiator, where'd that come from?
And that's what the movie's like. It doesn't really know. It's like, it's almost a prequel, but just change a few things and it's not a prequel.
Yeah, I know. Like, if they didn't show at the end of Prometheus the engineer and then, like, that xenomorph-looking creature, you'd be like, oh. Or if those canisters...
And you know what blew my mind was I was certain that was the same moon until later I looked up that... I even wrote it down because I knew we were going to get to this. I wrote it down that... in Prometheus, it's LV-223, and in Alien, it's LV-426. So it's a different moon, but the ship just happens to crash in an area that looks almost like it, you know.
Yeah.
And like you said, the engineer doesn't stay in the cockpit, and not to mention the ship was fossilized in Alien when they found the ship.
Yep.
And Prometheus only takes place 30 years before Alien, when it should have taken place way before if they were going to set that up. And then
really only 30 years before Alien?
It's only 30 years before. And also everybody thinks that Alien at the end is like, oh, that's the origin of the alien, of the xenomorph, but it's not because of that time frame, but also because like you see the xenomorph aliens on the mural, like when they come in.
Yep.
You know, and it's just like, it's so confusing.
it was so confusing. There's even a mural with a xenomorph that's in like a Christ-like crucifixion pose.
Yeah, that's it.
And I noticed that, and I was trying to figure that out the whole movie. I was like,
yeah.
What?
You know what? Let's kind of start the discussion with Prometheus.
I like Prometheus. I'm going to start off there. I actually thoroughly enjoyed Prometheus.
I walked out of it feeling very betrayed because, in my opinion, like we said, it started out in production hell.
Yeah.
And when they did the viral marketing for this, they had it like a future TED Talk. They had, here's the Android 8 David. There's Wayland. They had Michael Wayland in the movie, right? Stuff like that. So they had the beginnings of it. And then Ridley Scott had come out and, like you said, had mentioned this is connected to the Blade Runner universe and stuff like that. Like, basically all his movies take place semi in the same universe.
Like, Gladiator is where they got the idea to make these warrior aliens. Like, we got fucking Russell Crowe as the original alien. He's an engineer.
And that's the thing, though. Like, when they said this movie was supposed to be a spin-off of the Aliens movie, I felt like, what's the point?
But before we go too far, because we're talking about Ridley Scott, I want to put $10 that on his newest film, that Exodus one with Christian Bale playing Moses, that there's going to be some, like, aliens in there. I'll put $10.
I would love to see just like an alien egg.
It's like when the locusts are put upon the Egyptians, it's actually going to be like xenomorphs.
Now that's a movie I'd pay to see.
Wow.
He's just like, let my people go, and he has the hiss and the aliens.
James, you have to recut this or something.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Like, it's just, I don't see the point, because, I mean, I'm glad we have the origin, quote-unquote, of the engineers, aka the space jockey, but is it a story that we really needed to have told? I kind of liked it mysterious.
Yeah, like, on one hand, I'm glad that there's now a movie about the space jockeys, or whatever they are, because we don't know in the first movie, because Metroid has the space jockey sort of thing, you know, the thing that holds
the Chozos.
Yeah, the Chozos.
The Chozos, yeah, and also the very last boss in Super Contra, you know, the second Contra, it has the sort of thing that looks like the face of the space jockey. So it was like, I've always wanted to know more about those things, what they are. So I'm glad that this movie did that. But yeah, it was just a lot of confusion as to, like, what was this movie trying to do the first time seeing it. Mm-hmm. And then I saw it again on Blu-ray, and with all the confusion kind of out of the way now, it's like, okay, now I can kind of see it fresh. And yeah, I mean, I'm kind of mixed with it. I like it. I think it has great production design. It really feels like you're going back into that world of the first Alien. Like, it definitely has the feel kind of the first movie. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it all amounts to. I feel like I want to see it again, you know.
Well, I made my sister watch that movie before I let her watch any of the Alien movies with me. So she had, like, that as her, like, idea of how it all starts. I never knew the timeline was only 30 years, because now that's starting to bug me. Because I thought it was that it was actually a longer period of time before they actually actively found the one in Aliens. But god damn it, I wish I didn't know it was 30 years. That's a big piss off, because that doesn't make any sense. Like, none of it makes sense unless they're gonna somehow the other moon was a crash test site there, and, like, they forgot about it, and Weyland-Yutani's like, okay, we'll send these people over there. They will give us the aliens. Yes, profits.
Now, I'm actually curious. So, if it takes 30 years beforehand, I just technically... Oh, you know what? Ripley was born when Prometheus happened. She was born January 7th, 2092. This place is 2080 or 2093 or 2091. Something like that. So that kind of pisses me off, actually. The fact that it's so closely connected.
Yeah.
Really.
And also, couldn't they get an old man to play an old man?
Yeah, what was the point of putting Guy Pearce in old man makeup? And that should never be your end game.
Yeah, he looks like Dustin Hoffman in Little Big Man.
Yeah, it makes no sense. And the point, like, he never had to be in old man makeup because the only time he was young was in that viral marketing that I didn't see till after the movie. I got it on Blu-ray. I never even knew there was viral marketing.
Yeah, the viral market. Yeah, like if that was in the movie for one thing, like okay, I could understand if they have him play the young guy and then
we see him as the old guy. Then sure.
Yeah, and also, you know what's really weird is if you count all the other Alien movies with it. Okay, like if you like Alien versus Predator, which is in the present time, I believe, you have Charles Bishop Wayland, who's portrayed by Lance Henriksen, and he's supposed to be, you know, the founder of the Wayland Company, and then you know, you go to Alien 3.
Bishop is the founder of the Alien. Oh my gosh, damn it, Bishop.
Yeah, and then you have Michael Wayland in Alien 3, who's the guy who built Bishop, so he's basically like the descendant of the first guy, but just happens to look just like Lance Henriksen. Like they both look exactly like Lance Henriksen, but they span hundreds of years apart. And then in the middle of the whole thing, you have Peter Wayland from Prometheus, who's this old zombie man with no likeness of Lance Henriksen. So how did his family timeline go from looking like Lance Henriksen to going back to looking like him?
Somebody was banging the mailman. That's all I'm saying.
Best part of him. Oh, never mind. I'm gonna say.
That's see, that's the thing. But Prometheus makes so many things stupid, but it's an enjoyable movie. All things considered. One of the things that you brought up, James, I love the production look of it. One thing about the Aliens universe is it feels very used. It's that whole used future sort of thing. It always feels like if you touch something, you're gonna get a layer of grease on you or something. And I've always kind of liked that about it too. That it does feel very used. And talking about the first movie, Aliens, that's one of the first horror movies I think I've ever seen in space. I mean, before stuff like Event Horizon, and I guess there were a bunch of ones in the 80s too. But one of the things I noticed about the first movie that wasn't really noticeable the first time I saw it was I first saw it on VHS in stereo. When you see this movie in 5.1, just listen to it. And more specifically, just how you can hear all the little bumps and things from the Nostromo spacecraft. You can hear things creaking. You can hear pipes moving around, things metal relaxing and retracting. And that's something that I think these movies don't get nearly enough kind of credit for. They've got a wonderful sound design.
But don't watch this, and if you're in Mike's apartment and it's 2:00 in the goddamn morning, and the volume drastically changes decibel points. So you have to have your finger on the volume button. You're watching it like we're watching Aliens, and it's quiet, and then whole thing shakes like you're waking people up. Come on, turn it down, turn it down.
Yeah, that's a night. Especially after having a kid, every movie I watch, I have my finger on the volume all the time. Either that or I gotta have headphones, because it's like you can't hear what people are saying on most movies. This is like most modern movies. They do have that drastic change where people speak in whispers, and you're turning it up just so you can hear, and then boom. So
I guarantee the sound designer's just fucking with people at this point. He's like, Leo, we're gonna make a whisper. I'm gonna throw an explosion right here for all those people who have it too really loud because they can't hear him talk. Then they gotta go wake up the baby.
That always made me super mad about things too, because you know what? The sound design gets buried in certain movies, and I don't know. I mean, one of the things I've also really liked, as we mentioned about the Alien sound design itself, it also has a very wet movement on how the alien moves around on like different kind of surfaces. It sounds like, I'm trying to think how I would describe it. It sounds like something moving through mud. Very, very liquidy mud. That's how I would describe how the alien sounds. And then when Aliens happens, the sound of the weapons is something that I've always absolutely loved. I mean, the pulse rifle is probably in my top 5 all-time favorite sound effects. Probably actually number 2. I think my number 1 is the lightsaber snap hiss, but the pulse rifle's like one of my favorite sound effects of like all time.
That'd be a good top 10 sound effects in movies.
Oh, because it's so iconic, and you know that sound. Another thing about Aliens as a whole too, is talking about the music from each movie. And Aliens, the James Horner score, a lot of that was done in like 6 weeks. In fact, the final battle scene between Ripley and the Queen, that was written overnight. Because they didn't have picture lock. Because James Cameron and James Horner were at each other's throats the entire production. They didn't work together for like 10 or 12 years after this. Not until Titanic came out. And I don't know, there's one of the things I really, really like about it, and I would love to get your guys' thoughts on this, is the military percussion that happens in that movie. It's very, I don't know, there are very few film scores that I absolutely adore, but this is one of them.
Oh, in Aliens?
Oh god, yeah.
Oh yeah, I think at one point I even used that, like that marching, kind of sound. Like I think I used that in some of the temp music in the Nerd movie when I was editing that.
Oh, it's just it's a wonderful score just to listen to. I mean, even just putting on headphones and it's one of those things. It's one of the scores that when you listen to, you know exactly when it's happening, even when the movie's not playing. The only other movies I can think that really do that for me are Star Wars, Jurassic Park. You're probably noticing a bit of a theme here. I'm trying to think of what other composers or what other film scores really kind of set the scene for it.
You got your Danny Elfman scores. You got
for Batman, stuff like that. Yeah.
Bernard Herrmann.
Elmer Goldstein, or
oh yeah,
for like Ghostbusters and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean,
Great Escape.
There's just there are so many great moments in the movies for music. Although I would argue Alien Resurrection doesn't have a good score.
Not that I can remember.
I don't think that's anything redeeming.
Also, on the topic of the music from Aliens, when that planet's exploding, and at the end of the movie, like during the finale, it has that music that you hear in a lot of trailers in the 90s. You know what I'm talking about?
No, but now I kind of want to go back and listen to it.
Yeah, it's like when it's getting really tense, like dun 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 dun
yes,
dun,
yes.
Dun, and then they used it in like Backdraft and like all these trailers all through the 90s. It was crazy.
Alien 3, I'm trying to think of anything super memorable out of that. I remember it was one of the earliest uses of CGI for a complete creature.
Oh, which one?
Alien 3, because the dog alien, like there weren't a lot of practical shots of it.
No.
Well, there were. See, that's what I thought. I thought some scenes of it were CG, but it was Tom Woodruff Jr. in the suit, and they green screened him or blue screened him or whatever, and so a lot of those shots, it's why he's not really like, the light isn't really matching and stuff.
Yeah, it looks like he's a layer above.
Yeah.
You know?
So that's like what you're seeing a lot of times there. It's basically like animatronics and suit, in front of blue screen.
It looks so terrible.
Yeah.
To the point of, why would you bother doing it? And although really this is kind of noticeable, and I really noticed this last night, Alien 3, you really see the alien a lot more than you do in other movies. And what I mean by that is it's more well lit.
Yeah, it's not like in Aliens when you get the glimpses really through the muzzle flares, and then how like in the original Alien, it's really just like
dark.
You kind of really see it almost like once your eyes adjust to the dark. You know what I mean? You can start to make things out, and you're like, oh, kind of like in real life, how if you're going in the darkness, you don't notice things, your eyes adjust to the light levels.
I actually saw that before Alien. Now that I think of it, I saw Aliens first, and I remember the whole movie wondering what they look like, and I was in such suspense. Just what do they look like? What do they look like? And you just get these little glimpses, and you're putting it all together in your mind. But now it's hard to remember back when it was a mystery for me.
Yeah, like it just because it was all bathed in this very soft light, and even during the tunnels where they're chasing the dog alien, it's still relatively well lit. I mean, it's all a very orangey color or a very dull white. In Aliens, it was very blue and black, and the alien just black. And then in Resurrection, everything had this really weird green tinge to it. If you go back and watch it,
you know what? I was watching because going back to like with Aliens 3 and stuff, that movie though, I really feel if you took out the part of it being aliens, a lot of it feels, I don't know how, I know a bit about like the Warhammer universe, and a lot of it's very religious based with like with like these kind of like prisoners and stuff too. It feels like that movie could have really been, if you just took out the alien, a pretty like any kind of sci-fi movie, or more so in that kind of universe.
One thing I want to give credit to Alien 3 is they wanted to change the formula up. It wasn't going to be another straight action movie. They went back to the single alien being the big threat. And if I give that movie anything, it's credit for daring to be a little bit different.
Oh, I like it. I love that Tywin Lannister, the actor, is one of the main characters. I was watching it, and it got me super stoked. I was like, holy shit. I don't know if you watched Game of Thrones yet or not. But
not yet.
He is the head of the Lannister house. So if you watch Game of Thrones, he's like kind of your main kind of behind-the-scenes baddie. So it's pretty awesome.
Another thing that I noticed too about Alien 3, and it wasn't until I became a Doctor Who fan, the deranged prisoner of Gallic is actually the 8th Doctor, Paul McGann.
So that was Paul McGann. I couldn't see him in it because I'm used to those curly locks. I was trying to find it.
You really notice it in his eyes. I'm thinking, man, I friggin' know that guy. And then I looked through the credits and I'm thinking, holy shit, Paul McGann.
I was trying to remember who. There's the one prisoner there. He has like the big cheekbones and those giant furry eyebrows. I know the movies, but I don't know which movies. Did he play Daddy Warbucks in an Annie reboot or something? Or I think it's something different. But I know I've seen him in so many movies. I couldn't think of his name.
I know the guy you're talking about, and he's often typecast and things. He always plays like a bad guy or like a subservient dude to the bad guy.
Cockney thug.
Yeah, basically, yeah. That's the guy this guy always plays. Another thing about Alien 3 that I do like, and I don't
Alien
like
to the third.
Alien
Cubed. That's what I said when I watched it. I was like, Alien Cubed. Breaking the third dimension.
It took the risk of ending a very profitable franchise by killing Ripley and in essence killing the aliens.
I liked how they did that though, when you actually got to see the company. Like, you're just like, the company. Gotta watch out for the company. And you kind of get the company man and aliens, but then you get like
Michael Wayland.
Exactly. You get the company. Like, I was like, who is this? When you first see him, when like the scientist comes in, where is Ripley? And you see the guy with his glasses, his hair blowing in the wind with his face mask on, face scarf. I was like, holy shit, who is this guy? Like, you knew he meant business when you saw him. And then like the white suits coming in. It was awesome.
I remember, seeing like, oh my god, Bishop's alive, and nope, just.
That movie did have a great ending. I do have to say, like Alien 3, to me, it sort of redeems itself in the end.
And it kind of brought itself full circle. It started with Kane, ended with Ripley, and Ripley taking out essentially the entire race.
Yes.
More or less in one shot, because when LV-426's colony, Hadley's Hope, blew up. Presumably, as Bishop said, it's going to create a vapor cloud the size of Nebraska. In theory, that would wipe out the engineer's ship, or so you would think. So I like the fact that it took the risk. And then we got Alien 4, Alien Resurrection.
It was like Terminator 2. Like, it ends with falling into, molten lava, and then, it ends it so hard where this is the end, and then...
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. I was gonna say, before we go to Alien Resurrection, what was pissing me off when I was watching Alien 3 is when Weyland gets his head smashed into the back and his ears he's like, look, I'm human, with his blood, but like half his skull is hanging out. I don't know if it was actually him or like some really good android, because if you notice that, half his head that got smashed is hanging off for the rest of the scene.
Supposedly it's him, according to all the official sources, but it is the corporation.
Unless somebody just didn't catch that while they were filming, that the prosthetic is hanging off his head, basically.
Yeah, hey, continuity, do you want to fix that? We're out of money. Just edit it really fast.
David Fincher's like, yes, this will add a new layer to my film.
A question about Alien 3. was it the same? Did a facehugger lay 2 eggs, or was there still another one on the ship after Aliens?
See, that's not made super clear. Like, as far as I understand, there's the super facehugger, which is the queen alien, the one that spawns it. But I wonder if there was 2, because in the assembly cut, they find a facehugger corpse at one point. So I kind of wonder if the super facehugger had the ability to lay 2 eggs, 1 drone and 1 queen, so it could build a hive. And that's how it starts. But the queen from Aliens would have had time to do 1, but her egg sac was gone after Ripley shot it with friggin' grenades. So I kind of wonder if there were 2, all things considered. But I imagine someone will correct me in the comment section.
Actually, Michael, if we go back to a Q&A from
2004,
and then also go back to 2002, where 2 different directors were talking about this at the same time.
Well, speaking of directors, I found out David Fincher, this is a movie he completely disowns.
Really? Was it like one of his first films?
It was his first big-budget film. Yeah. And he says the studio screwed it up, so many rewrites screwed it up. They weren't done the script when they were filming. It was just so many things completely botched it. He's like, you know what? Screw this. I'm done with it. And that's the problem I think I found with Alien 3. It felt very disjointed in parts. Like it was parts of different movies, but it worked-ish. One other thing I will say about Alien 3, and I guess we should move on to Resurrection. The scene where they're in the medical area and the alien pushes her up against the wall and doesn't kill her. Mm-hmm. That's one of my favorite scenes out of the entire franchise. Because that's when you get a nice close-up look of the alien in good lighting. You see all how its jaws held together, the double jaws, the drool just running off this thing. I just think that's a great shot of it. So Alien Resurrection, where the hell do I start with this one?
Joss Whedon wrote it.
Much to his shame, I would imagine.
I know. Me and my sister, I'm like, because she was watching with me, I was like, yo, it's Joss Whedon. And right away she picked up how the crew of the Betty is, she's like, this is fucking
Buffy?
Firefly.
Yeah.
She's like, this fucking Mal Reynolds, that's Jane. Like, she pointed at all these tropes there. I'm like, holy shit. I'm watching it now, I'm like, it's fucking Firefly.
The thing about Alien Resurrection that I didn't much like is the worst part about that movie is some people's favorite parts of this movie. Winona Ryder as Call.
I was gonna say I love Winona Ryder.
I didn't like her in this at all.
Then again, I've always had a crush on Winona Ryder.
There's just something about the way she portrays the androids in the future and how
she's whiny.
Well, they just have this throwaway line like, oh yeah, androids were outlawed 200 years ago or something like that when the androids built androids or something like that. Like, I want to know more about that. Tell me about that.
Would you like to know more?
Yes, I would. And it just, I don't know, there's just something about her character. She's, like you said, fucking whiny.
Yeah, and there is. There's a lot of her character don't like in general. She's like, come on, we gotta kill her. We gotta kill her! What? What are you talking about?
And half the other characters just seem unnecessarily mean or mean-spirited or useless.
All the I hate every character in that. The film in general, every character I hate. I even hate Ripley in that film.
And you know what? I'm surprised Sigourney Weaver came back for this. Because she said, it's a chance for me to explore different areas of Ripley.
Yeah, being a fucking bitch.
Yeah, but
bitch.
But you're not Ripley. You have some memories of the original Ripley, and it's like she basically turned into like Doctor Who. It's the same character but with a different personality traits.
Yeah,
and it always rubbed me the wrong way.
Man, the worst scene in this whole movie, though, I think one of the worst scenes is when like that guy, when like General Perez or whatever, and like gets his head blown in, like the alien like.
Head bites him,
and then he's like, oh, like cross-eyed, like putting his head to his skull, like getting skull bits out.
Yeah, he looks confused for like 30 seconds.
I know, it wasn't even like, at least Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie, when like Pee-wee's character dies, that's like pretty funny. But then you see this and you're like, oh, a prolonged death is not enjoyable here.
See, that's the thing with Aliens, the humor is always through dialogue. you don't get a lot of sight gags.
That's what really pissed me off with it too.
Like this film's tone was all over the place. It never felt right.
And what pissed me off is how we're talking about how they basically could figure out how to genetically engineer the aliens. Why the fuck wouldn't they have created something that was resistant to their acid to put them in? Let's just throw them in a metal fucking cage. Acid could never burn through metal.
Why not control their aggression or something like that instead of using just pressurized ice gas or whatever the hell they were using?
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's so many things that just don't make sense. Like, if they're able to, like, first off, we cloned Ripley from her blood, so we were able to clone her to a state where an alien queen was still in her, which is like, I was confused. Does that mean the second the alien was put inside her, her DNA changed completely?
They do kind of address that in some of the expanded universe stuff, or at least some of the written stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Because, as I mentioned earlier in this conversation, the alien takes on traits of its host.
Yes.
The host would take on traits of the alien as it's kind of gestating. So, in theory, it makes sense. In fact, to get the blood from Ripley would have had to have been at such a very specific time.
Yeah.
Like, it's really, as Carter Burke just must say, blind luck. 1 in a million that this happened at the right time, and the company was smart enough to grab the blood samples before they shut down.
I know.
Like,
and that's what pissed me off, too. It's like, yes, the company. She means the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. It exists no more. I'm like, why would you do that?
Yeah, I mean, in essence, Alien Resurrection was the neutered ending to this franchise. Now, originally, they did want to bring it back to Earth. They wanted to have, like, there was a series of comic books, I think it's called Hive War, they wanted to adapt into the next Alien movie or something. And, I don't know, the fact that Alien Resurrection exists, I don't know. It's just, it's got some cool visual moments, like where that alien spits acid in that dude's face and the handicapped guys crawling up the ladder. I think some of that's cool.
In there. You notice the guy who plays Tuco from Breaking Bad is like
hanging
out with him the whole time.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, but the best scene is when that guy's about to die. Like, he like knows the alien's gonna come out of his chest. I'm like, he would not have this much time to react. It's like, ugh. And I'm like, what is he doing? He's wandering, but it's the best scene. Blows the alien through his chest, through the other guy's skull. I was like, okay, you did yourself.
And even that is subtly funny.
It is, because it makes no sense.
Like that's the big thing with it. It seems so tonally inconsistent with the other movies. In fact, James, what's your opinion of Alien Resurrection? Because you obviously have the film experience that me and Scotty don't.
Oh, James told me it's his all-time favorite Alien film, and it should be the really only standalone Aliens film. If you're gonna watch one, Resurrection's the only one you should ever watch.
Actually, you know, notice how I have not said a word since we moved on to Alien Resurrection.
Because you hate it that much.
That's pretty much it. It's like you said. It's the tone is all over the place. It's just so weird and mixed. Like on some level, I like to look at it as like it's a fun movie because it has a lot of energy. The camera is always moving all over the place. I mean, it gets a little out of hand sometimes with the wide angle lens. It looks like a music video. It has an energy, at least. Like going from Alien 3 to Alien Resurrection, it's just kind of like, all right, well, the Alien 3 was going for this artistic merit that failed, and then Alien Resurrection was going for just complete trash, but it succeeded in that, at least. I love moments in it. I like when that alien gets sucked through the hole in the ship at the end, and the skull is the last thing. The whole movie, like the thing you said about where the guy, the chest burster comes through the guy's chest and through the other guy's skull and everything. The whole movie has almost like a Dead Alive, Evil Dead 2 type of feel to it.
I was trying to think of what I was thinking of. That's exactly it, yeah.
Yeah.
We're trying to be serious, but it's actually a funny movie. It's almost like Tommy Wiseau saying, like, the room was as dark this terrible drama, but then it's like, no, it's actually dark comedy. Alien Resurrection is going to soon become a dark comedy.
See, the thing about Alien Resurrection is the other movies have you in this very tense kind of state. This movie does it with a smirk on its face almost.
Oh, can we not forget when they're trying to teach Ripley to talk and they say, this is a fork.
Oh,
fuck. Fuck.
It's like, what, are you kidding me?
I know. Oh my gosh. The saddest part of this is, so I watched the special edition cut. There's some like changes where like the endings are different. Not by much. Like in the special edition cut, they go
land on Earth or something?
And it's a toxic wasteland that got like nuked completely. And then the other one is them like flying over Earth. They're like, she's looking at it and it's still green and lush. But the saddest part is put on the special edition and just watch the intro by the director. They're like, this is not a director's cut because I made the movie I wanted to make in 1997. No. But they wanted me to make a special edition. It's like so sad. It's like, I made my artistic vision, but the studio wants me to put the special edition out and change what I wanted. It's like so sad. It's so funny. Watch it again, and he actually looks like he's gonna cry. He looks so sad that nobody liked his artistic vision, so they had to re-release it.
That's sad. I don't know. There's just something about that movie. It'll go down in infamy as the movie that killed the franchise, and that's where we're going to talk about next. The franchise killers, in my opinion. Alien vs. Predator and Alien vs. Predator Requiem. Let's talk about these both combined because they're more or less the same movie.
I have not seen the second one, but I don't think the first Alien, I don't think AVP, the first one, is a bad movie in general. I don't think it's terrible.
I think the problem is they shoehorned in the humans because, like, it's the whole Alien versus Predator thing.
Yeah.
But it never, because it takes place in modern day, it doesn't feel like it's a part of that universe outside of the monsters, which is something that I've got a real problem with. Because if you read the comic books for Alien vs. Predator, there's some great stories in there. And they do take some cues from the comics for the movie, but not a whole hell of a lot. I think my main problem with Alien vs. Predator is that the alien changed yet again. The alien here, it's almost like it knows how to fight too well. Like, there's points where it's whipping the predators with its tail. It's basically throwing them around like the friggin' Terminator.
But aren't these alien, but in AVP's canon, they are created by the predators to be the ultimate prey. So they would have created them in a sense to fight back, to kind of weed out the weak of the predator race.
I guess that's true because they could breed them through successive generations. Yeah, because in the comic books, the predators are called Yacha, and they raise the aliens to be known as the hard meats, and they're meant to be the training species for these creatures. They're not meant to be the ultimate prey, so to speak. They're meant to be, okay, here's something that you can train on until you can fight humans. Humans are meant to be the ultimate prey because we can think and we can fight back. As far as I remember, if I'm wrong, Mike at ThisWeekInGeek.net, get a cookie.
Yeah, because I just thought I remember hearing that ultimate prey thing. That's why I threw that in there.
But yeah, I mean, it does make a like certain type of sense. So just the way that movie ends, where the alien queen gets taken down, just, I don't know. It seemed...
And the predator's like, yo, thanks, bro. Let's do this next week. Here, have my cannon. We'll have coffee later.
Yeah, here, fist bump. And then they get the cannon delivered to the Yutani Corporation or something like that. It's...
I never saw it for a long time. I remember when it came out, I heard nothing but bad things about it, so I just stayed far away. And I never read any of the comics either. I just didn't know what the whole Alien versus Predator thing was about. Although I liked the idea, I just was like, oh, well, that's great to have a versus movie between those two alien creatures. It's a perfect, match. But then I heard that it was so terrible, and I was like, oh, boy, that sucks that, they didn't get it right. And then eventually I saw it, and I didn't think it was that bad. It's not great. It's not a great movie.
Yeah, it's definitely not a much watch list film. It's not.
It's something you should probably see once.
It's enjoyable.
Yeah.
If you have friends and you're like, yo, want to watch? Like,
yeah, because you will see the alien fight the predator. Like, that at least happens.
And badass.
It's still Tom Woodruff Jr. in the costume and everything. So nothing. like I thought it was going to be like the fight was going to be all CG, but it was still the suits and the animatronics. So it's like that part of it was definitely serviceable.
That was my jumping on point to both franchises. Because, again, how I'm a lot younger, so when that film came out, I was like 13. So I watched that. I watched it when it came out. I think I rented it from a corner store, and I watched it with my dad. And he had seen the other films. So that was really my jumping onto it, because it wasn't, especially as a kid.
I'm pretty sure I saw it in theaters. I think the main problem with both of these movies, it's the human element to them.
Yeah, the human element does seem like, it's like, oh my gosh, we've stumbled upon this ancient ruin in Antarctica. Oh my gosh, look at these egg species. We should totally take them back to research them. Okay, that makes sense. Oh no, it opened up. It's, oh no, where are you going? Hey, I'm a strong black female woman character. I'm going to hang out with this predator. Because strong female characters, it's aliens, you know? It makes sense. Hey, whoa, Brofist, you're my bud. Yo, give me that cannon. Give me that spear. Let's kill some things. Yeah.
Yeah, she's certainly no friggin' Ripley, that's
It was
for sure.
obvious that looking now that I've seen all the films, that was what they were going for in that film, was to make her a Ripley character.
Which that's something at least the Alien franchise has done well, more or less. The strong female protagonist. In fact, arguably, I'd say Ripley and Commander Shepard from Mass Effect are my two favorite female characters in fiction, period. Because they're strong typically with no nonsense, especially in the first two Alien movies. Not so much 3 and 4, but whatever.
Well, I like in Alien is that Ripley actually, it's very logical the way she's like thinking on how to do this. It's like, it's almost like if you have no idea what's going on, everything she's doing, you would try to do.
Yeah, like it's a problem you have to work through. It's not reactionary. Ripley is a flight officer. She's an engineer. She's smart. She knows how to work this problem out. In Alien versus Predator, the humans are arguably reactionary, like, oh my god, there's monsters and they're aliens, holy shit. But they never seem to react with any sort of sense. And like I said, it's the human element that ruins both these movies, especially with Alien versus Predator Requiem.
I wanted to see that all because I heard about the Predator alien. It sounded like such a fucking crazy awesome concept.
The Pred alien is really cool, and it actually, random bit of trivia, my agent, her husband is the one who designed the Pred alien, which is really cool. So, trivia!
I can't believe they followed up on that. Like, I thought it was just going to be one of those
fan service moments.
Yeah, one of those like bullshit cliffhangers that don't really, amount to anything. And then they actually did it. Although the movie itself,
it's, I mean, both these movies are probably worth seeing just so you can say, hey, I saw it. Although one part of Alien vs. Predator Requiem I really like is at one point a Predator ship crashes from the first movie, and the alien eggs get out. The alien eggs get on the face of a hunter and his kid.
Yeah, I watched that.
I was like, holy shit.
I watched the beginning, and my dad's like, fuck this shit. That's a quote. Fuck this shit. And he turned it off. Like, when you see, like, an alien run out of the sewer system, he looks at me, fuck this shit. And we went to get pizza.
Oh, my God. So, there you have it for that. So, let's talk about...
It was, like, the first one where it was, it was the first one where it was in a present-day, real-life, like, civilized area. I mean, Alien vs. Predator was present-day, but this was in a civilized area. And for some reason, that really brought it down. I mean, I thought it was a good idea to try and change things up, but now it felt like this teen horror movie where Alien and Predator were both like on the top of the slasher genre. Like they're up there with Halloween and stuff like that, I think. And then the whole franchise just demoted itself to now it's being like, it's beneath. Yeah, it's like beneath all that now. And it's also such a murky, dark movie. Like where it's just dark just for the sake of being dark and creepy, where you can hardly see anything that's going on. Mm-hmm. It just has a really bland look to it. Oh, and you know what? A fun fact, because I did a review of all these movies last year during Monster Madness, and for some reason in the URL of the Alien vs. Predator Requiem review, it says at the end of the URL, get out your barf bags. And I asked Mike, I'm like, because Mike usually handled most of of those being posted up there on Cinemassacre, and I said, why does the URL say "Get out your barf bags" at the end? He's like, I don't know. I thought you added that. And I'm like, no, I didn't put that in. And we're trying to figure out, why does it say "Get out your barf bags"? We can't figure it out. Although I think, like, I'm trying to guess as to what happened, and I think maybe oh boy, I don't know. It's a complicated answer, but I think there's like, because when I would send Mike the list of all the names, and I think I might have had "Get out your barf bags" next to it, but it was a note for myself or something. And I think maybe I saw it on the back of the DVD, like it was a quote or something I wanted to like remember for some reason to add in the video. It never made it into the video, but it made it into the URL for some reason.
Scotty, during the write-up, please have "That's how we end this." Get out your barf bags.
I'm gonna put it in the URL. The show note, because we can make sure the URL is like thisweekingeek.com/get out your barf bags.
Oh boy! All right, so we're gonna move on to the expanded media, and I've kind of hinted at the comics, but I haven't read a lot about them. But we've all played the video games for this.
Actually, I have never played an Alien video game.
Really?
Really?
Wow.
I never played Colonial Marine. I think I played the arcade one you had on your arcade machine back when you had it.
Yep.
And I played the demo for the Alien, the game that came out on the 360 before.
The one by Rebellion.
The one where you could actually play the Alien storyline, the Predator storyline, or the human storyline.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played a bit of that, which actually I enjoyed that one.
Yeah,
for little I played. It seemed so cool.
That was the 2010 one. Yeah, I mean, there's been Alien video games stretching as far back as there was an Aliens arcade game, if I remember correctly. There was Alien 3 for the NES, Super Nintendo, Genesis, Alien vs. Predator for the Super Nintendo, which was different than the arcade game. There was an Alien game for DOS that I never had a chance to play, which is really unfortunate. There were a couple of Predator games. I know there was one called Concrete Jungle. There was Alien vs. Predator Classic, which is the first AVP game I ever played. There was Alien vs. Predator 2, which is fantastic, but very hard to find these days. Alien vs. Predator by Rebellion, which was the one that you were talking about for Sega. Aliens Colonial Marines. There's Alien 3, the gun game, which is basically, I think it's just a cabinet upgrade for Revolution X or Terminator 2, if I'm not mistaken.
It should just be like every like the gun game. It should be like Rambo, the gun game.
See, if they had a nice looking pulse rifle, I'd play this all the time. But the pulse rifle they have looks really cheap and chintzy, or at least on the arcade cabs I've played. The Alien series of games has been mixed. I know, James, you reviewed the Alien 3 for the NES.
Yeah.
Like 2 years ago, was it?
Last year. It was like part of the whole Monster Madness thing. Like it was like at the same time. So like the same day the movie review of Alien 3 went up, the nerd episode of Alien 3 went up.
That's one of the few versions of the game I haven't played. Although I liked Alien 3 on the Super Nintendo, because I thought it had really good sound in it. And also had a really awesome game over screen. When you died, Hudson would say, "Game over, man."
Yeah, you actually hear that.
Which I thought
I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, I remember at the time I thought that was wicked. Plus,
I haven't played that since I was a kid though. I rented the Super NES version of Alien 3 as a kid, and I haven't played it since. So my memory's foggy. But
go back and play it. It's fun. Yeah. It's hard, but it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's you know what, you'd think this monster series would be perfectly made for video games, and honestly it is, because you look at how much Aliens has influenced games like Doom, Halo, etc. Basically
Metroid and Contra, and I think it all started with Aliens with the sequel, because when that came out it was right when video games were becoming big again, and it was like, you see it like in games like Xenophobe, Metroid, Contra, and it's just everywhere. And when Bill Paxton says, "Game over, man," like that's like video game culture making it into movies, which was a rare occurrence back then. And I remember it blew my mind as a kid. So that's kind of like when movies and games really met.
Mm-hmm. And it's it's become like such a part of the video game culture that there's the Space Marine, and we all look at the Marines from Aliens. We look at all the video game weaponry that's come out since then. Like every space video game has its own version of the pulse rifle in some capacity, or something like that.
BFG.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's so many things that they talk about in Aliens that have just become a part of it. Hell, look at Aliens, the characters of the Marines, and look at the Marines from Halo. They quote lines from Aliens half the friggin' time, which is amazing. We owe so much the video game culture to Aliens. There's actually a really great, there's a video on YouTube, and this guy does like an 1.5-hour analysis of Aliens, Colonial Marines, or all the Alien versus Predator games, and he talks about this. I'll have to post a link in
which all existed way before the movie.
Yeah, and just think where games would be if we didn't have Aliens.
Every form of media got to the Alien versus Predator thing before they did the movies.
And arguably did it 10 times better. Which makes me really, really, really sad. Another thing about the expanded media, like I've said, I've mentioned the comics, and I'm just going to mention some of these because they're really weird. There's been a number of crossovers in the media for Aliens, and I'm just going to mention just a couple of them as soon as I find these, so just give me a second. There are crossovers with, you're going to love this one, guys, Aliens versus Predator versus the Terminator. It ties directly into Alien Resurrection. Happens within 5 or 6 days after that movie ends. It's retarded. Batman versus Aliens. There are 2 versions of this. Green Lantern versus Aliens. So they actually have aliens bursting out of actual Green Lanterns. Judge Dredd versus Aliens. I actually have seen a few panels of this. It was actually kind of cool.
Awesome.
Superman versus Aliens. There are 2 versions of this.
You ever see Batman Dead End?
Yes. Actually, you know what's really sad? I was actually doing a little bit of research on this. The guy that played the Joker is actually dead.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he committed suicide 4 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, I had no idea, because I'm thinking, I wonder what that guy's doing now, and not so much.
Well, he hasn't done anything for 4 years.
You're a terrible person, I'm just saying. You're a horrible person.
I know.
Moving on. In the Superman versus Aliens one, there were 2 versions of that, and it involves Darkseid bringing eggs back to Apocalypse, and an alien almost bursts out of Superman's chest because he's depowered or something. It's weird. There's Superman and Batman versus Aliens and Predator. There was a crossover with Wildcats, and the most memorable comic I remember, there's a comic, I think it was from Image or Vertigo, I think it might have been a DC title, I don't know. The comic was called Stormwatch, and in the series finale, it was a crossover comic, and I think if I recall the story correctly, the writer of the book said, "Can I have this book go out on a bang?" Yeah, sure, we don't care. So he asked Dark Horse, "Hey, can I use the aliens?" Sure. So he wipes out an entire superhero team using the aliens. Now you guys have heard in this conversation, I've mentioned the aliens take on traits from their hosts. There are fire-breathing aliens in this book, which is amazing. They have one alien burst out of the chest of this woman named Fahrenheit who can throw fire. So after punching through her chest, using her body as like a puppet, the alien pops up from behind it and breathes fire at this team of superheroes. The book eventually ends with the alien biting the hand off of some dude, I think his name was Winter or Weatherman or something, crashes the alien satellite into the sun. And there you have Stormwatch, Aliens. It's a great read because it's so short and it's so cool to see how the aliens wipe out superheroes, ones you don't care about and will never come back. So there was that. Okay, so one of the things that I love about the Aliens franchise is there is a crap ton of merchandise for this. As I mentioned very, very early on in this conversation, there are Aliens toys for this, and it ties into something that I also mentioned earlier. There was an Aliens cartoon series. It was supposed to be aired by Fox in 1992, and it ties into the Kenner line of action figures. It was called Operation Aliens, and it never got past the pilot stage, but there are stills that exist out there of this. If you type in Aliens cartoons, you might be able to actually see them, and some of them do look kind of cool, actually. And all the characters from Aliens survive. So Apone has a cyborg arm.
This wasn't aired, or?
Yeah, it wasn't aired in America anyway. Some of the production stills have gotten out because they were sent to Kenner to produce backpacks and pencil cases, basically all the nerdy crap we would have got back in the day. And it's unfortunate because some of the toys for this are actually really cool. They had characters for Drake, Vasquez, Hudson, Hicks, Bishop, Ripley, an original character named Atax who dresses up in like this alien suit, which I actually have on my shelf. You got a Power Loader toy, which had a missile launcher on the top of it. You had this alien evac ship, which, weird bit of trivia, if you watch the movie Star Trek Generations, when you see Captain Picard having to visit those kids at Christmas, those toys they're playing with are aliens toys. So, weird bit of trivia for you.
Fun fact!
Yeah, now you know! And there's also been other toy lines produced by NECA, who does a lot of really high-end action figures. They actually did a run of the original comic book Ninja Turtles. They've done multiple versions of the Alien now. I think there's like an 18-inch version.
The newest one they're doing, the newest line they have. I saw the Kane one. Oh, and his spacesuit with the melted hood.
Yeah.
So badass. They're doing a 12-inch of it.
NECA does some incredible sculpting work. Another company that's done work on the line is McFarlane Toys. They've done multiple versions of them. There's also a couple of Japanese companies that have done versions of them. They're super articulate. They look fantastic. They even have ones based upon the alien variants, like the Pred alien, the Boiler alien, the Spitter, stuff like that. There is an airsoft replica of the pulse rifle.
Almost bought it, man.
I thought about it multiple times. It's on my list. If I could ever own one fictional firearm, it's a tie between the pulse rifle and RoboCop's Auto 9.
Well, didn't you get the when you were in Texas? Isn't there a photo of you with that gun?
No, that's me with Smith & Wesson M229 machine gun, I think. It's the big squad automatic machine gun.
Oh, it just looked very similar.
I'm trying to think of what else was there. In terms of alien toys, actually, you, Scotty, got me a Facehugger plush for my birthday a couple years ago, which I still have. I'm trying to think of other bits of merchandise.
Well, the reaction stuff that just came out recently looks super nice. How they're replicating the Kenner style.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're like, and what Scotty means with that, the reaction style. Think of the old action figures you got from Kenner in the 1980s and 1970s. Basically, 5 points of articulation: arms, legs, and head. And they're very, very simple. Basically, think of the early Star Wars 3 3/4-inch figures. And they're basically that, but they're based upon really weird licenses, like Aliens, Back to the Future, the Terminator, stuff like that.
The one for the actual Xenomorph looks so awesome. Like, it's the best. If you can find any of them, buy that one. Unless you want the whole set and are a collector in that regards. But if you don't, that alien looks so awesome. And apparently, because I've never seen anyone like take them out of their packages or anything, but it actually has a mechanism to shoot the second head out.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
They actually have actually, that reminds me, on some of the Aliens Kenner toys from the 90s, they had a variant called the Gorilla Alien, which looks very close to the Warrior Alien. You could actually fill that guy's head with water, and it could spit acid, which I always thought was really cool. And if you press the back of the Alien Queen's head, her double jaws shoot out, which was really cool. They also had one called the Scorpion Alien, which would explode. It looked as close to the Dog Alien as you could get. Kenner had a giant alien from the 70s or early 80s built upon the first Alien toy, or built upon the first Alien movie, and you can actually see the human skull that is beneath the dome of the alien kind of carapace with the empty eye sockets. You can't see it so much in the movie, but if you look at the production stills, you can really, really make it out. And that toy is a bit of a rarity, surprisingly. Although there was a
saw it on Toy Hunters.
Yeah, they've had a couple on there. I've seen a few pop up on some of my toy groups on Facebook, and I think there was a reissue done by Gentle Giant a couple years ago. In terms of other merch, there's tons of Predator stuff. There's Predator masks. There's statues by Gentle Giant, Sideshow. I think Hot Toys has done an entire line of Aliens figures. In fact, it is on my bucket list at some point when I'm out of friggin' debt to own a Hudson and a Vasquez, because they're my two favorite characters from Aliens. If anything, I just want a 12-inch pulse rifle, because I'm a nerd. I think of what else there is out there that's really, really, really neat. There are Halloween costumes, obviously.
The Xenomorph blow-up doll. That's what I was looking at.
What? I'm just trying to picture this.
I just really want to bring it to a weird level.
Yeah, no shit. Although, come to think of it, and this is just a random out of the blue imagination thing, because considering the series has a vaguely sexual overtone,
yep,
I don't think I've ever seen an Aliens porno parody. I'm just thinking about that because I like weird shit, and I can't think if there's ever been one.
Rephrase that. I like weird shit.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like your fetish is like
Yes, I enjoy alien skull fucking. There's the quote of the episode.
So that was rephrasing it.
Grab your barf bags, folks. All right, guys. So, closing thoughts on this franchise. What has this series brought to the horror and sci-fi genres?
It's a lot. It's basically Alien is a big updating of both horror and sci-fi. It was just a modern day telling of a very old formula. The first Alien is a slasher film set in space. The whole first act of it, when they're approaching the ship and they find it, which is my favorite part of the whole series, by the way, is just like entering a haunted house. And then when they take it aboard the ship and then the alien hatches, and it's killing everybody, it's like they're stranded in one spot. You take a bunch of characters, you strand them in one spot. Like Jaws is people stranded on a boat. There's nowhere to go, but there's the shark attacking. There's all these movies in the 30s, like The Old Dark House, where it's just a bunch of people who, there's a storm going on outside and they can't get anywhere, so they're all just trapped in the house. You have The Thing from Another World, where they're in the North Pole. Well, depending on which version you watch of it, but that they're just surrounded by ice and snow. So you take people in space in this movie. So it's basically the same concept of all those kind of things, but just done different. And it also is part of the slasher genre, I think, because it came out around the same time as Halloween. You have basically Sigourney Weaver is the Jamie Lee Curtis of this movie. So yeah, that's basically the way I could say it. It's just like a big updating of a bunch of things, but it also started a new genre.
And Scotty, what about you?
That's the thing. I think these films kind of really, especially when they're starting. If you look at Alien back in '79, it really started. You can see some of its influence from 2001, with a lot of sci-fi kind of got its influences there. But you kind of see so many I guess some tropes really starting with its corporation stuff. It really led to the Weyland-Yutani and stuff. It really led to a lot of what we know now as sci-fi and staples, and I really like that about it. That it really paved the way, and you can see its influences looking any direction.
One of the things that I really like about the Aliens franchise is it really made a strong female character in sci-fi. I mean, with with Ellen Ripley, I don't think we'd have Commander Shepard. I don't think we'd have characters like Laura Croft or Samus Aran, stuff like that. People that were strong women. They didn't need to be macho. They had to be smart. And I think that's what I liked about the role. And even when she turned on the maternal instincts to look after Newt in Aliens, she never lost her head. And she was always, I don't know, just there was just something awesome about Sigourney Weaver. And I think she got nominated for an Oscar or something, didn't she, James?
Or
something that year? Yeah.
That year, I don't know off the top of my head.
I think she got nominated for something that year, because I know Aliens set a lot of records that year, because it was a genre film that got nominated for a bunch of awards. I think even the score got nominated. But yeah, I mean, without Alien, the franchise, we wouldn't have a lot of the horror movies we wouldn't have today. We wouldn't have a lot of the video games we have today. So we as gamers owe a lot to the Alien franchise. So thank you, Ridley Scott, James Cameron, the rest of you guys. Bite my ass.
Oh, she was nominated for an Academy Award for Aliens for Best Actress.
Yeah, and honestly, which is depressing because she was wicked in this movie. And I think she'll be remembered for the first two for sure. Absolutely.
I think Resurrection is where we'll really remember her.
Yes.
Even in Resurrection, she's like credited as alien hybrid clone of Ellen Ripley.
Fuck.
Fuck.
That will be the line we're gonna remember her for generations to come.
Fork.
So anyway, guys, so I guess anything we want to promote, since it is James, what do you got coming up on Cinemasker for the rest of the week?
Oh, for the rest of the week, well, we're just finishing up Monster Madness. There's about, what is it, like a week left now till Halloween?
Yep.
Speaking of Bernie's going to be in this year, I've been waiting.
Oh, yeah.
I've been waiting 3 years.
It should be.
Oh my God, looking forward to that.
Yeah. And I'm gonna have to bring that in some point.
Oh my
I'll help you with it.
Maybe next year. We'll see.
Next year, okay. We'll collab.
All right.
I love it. As for me, like I said, this week, I really hope you guys will check out that Ghostbusters screening that I mentioned. Once again, happening at the Colossus Cinemas in Vaughan, Ontario, just off of Highway 7. 2 shows on October 30th, 7 and 7:30, cost us $13. All proceeds go to Toronto Sick Kids Hospital. You can find out more information at thebigevent.ca. Get your picture taken with the Ontario Ghostbusters. Halloween this week, guys. Please be careful.
If I could make it, I would come dressed as Louis Tully.
I'm almost tempted to find money for a ticket to you to come up here, James, because that would be amazing. But anyway, guys, I really hope you guys have a safe and happy Halloween. Obviously, since Halloween is happening on the weekend, please drink responsibly. Please party responsibly. We don't want to have anything bad happen to you guys over the weekend. Next month on the show, we're going to be talking about the cult classic television show Twin Peaks, which has just got announced for a reboot coming up sometime soon, 25 years after he said it would happen. So we're going to be talking about that with us here on This Week in Geek. Obviously, we're going to have more Nerd News Networks and other new shows, probably some new Last Exit to Ponyville, with my new co-hosts from Nerd to the Third Power. And they should be premiering their show on our network fairly shortly. So stay tuned for that. So guys, until next time, we have been
Scott,
James,
and I've been Mike the Birdman Dodd, signing off as the last survivor of the Nostromo.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Thanks for listening to this episode of This Week in Geek. Hungry for more? Check out our website at thisweekingeek.net. You can subscribe to the podcast, browse our Twitter and Instagram, and leave your thoughts on today's topics. If you'd like to give us some feedback, send us an email at feedback@thisweekingeek.net. Tune in next time, and remember,
lower your shields and surrender your listenership.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.